What is up, guys? Welcome to Truth and Transparency. Crack yourself a twisted tea. Half and half. The order told y'all was happening. Y'all doubted me. The real ones probably didn't, but you know. I love it, though. Doubt away. Again, good evening, members, subscribers, moderators. Love you guys. Let's talk about it. It's pretty big. This was a runaway victory for the defense. Flat out runaway victory. People can say, like, this is about wins and losses, but let me explain why it is. Bryan Kohberger did not stand a chance in Moscow, Idaho. So this is a huge, absolutely monumental win for Bryan Kohberger. This isn't defense. This is him as a person, him for his rights. He had to get this moved. Had to get it moved. He got it moved in a landslide. Literally in a landslide. You want to know why? Judge says. Take a look really quick before we totally jump in, which is I want people to understand that this was how many pages? And what I did is, I don't know, was it 19? I went through and I did, this is all we need to talk about. Everything that's highlighted. If it's not highlighted, it doesn't fucking matter. Judge, on every argument that Ann Taylor and co made, he said, yep. You guys watching the debate out there? I thought about it, but then I said, shit, no way. No fucking way. We are not talking about that shit. We are not talking about that shit. But so to keep everything flowing perfectly, we watched all of it. We know the arguments, but where Judge was, I will side with the Gonsalveses on one point that they made in their statement that they released on their Facebook page, which was this. But you're going to see how I'm going to side with them, but I'm also going to say, let me show you why this should have never happened, though. This was the statement that the Gonsalveses released to everybody via their Facebook page today. They said, the family is incredibly disappointed in the judge's ruling granting the change of venue. Well, then you probably should have let there be a preliminary hearing, number one. And number two, the prosecution probably should have made some effort to fight, and they didn't. The only good thing about this decision is it will be Judge's last decision. And that's interesting because technically there is a small chance a Judge could stay on the case if the Idaho State Supreme Court say you're going to be our special judge. But I don't think that that's going to happen now. The family has always felt that Judge favored the defense. And it was a common theme that whatever the defense wanted or needed, they got. They've been asking for discovery, 17 supplemental requests. They don't have everything that they want or need. Okay. The written decision is even more informative. We're going to talk about this written decision. If the judge knew Latah County could not handle this trial for safety reasons, not enough court clerks, logistics, and lacking space, why did we waste over a year in a county he knew was not going to handle the trial? That is where I will agree with them to a point, which is this. Guess who knew that more than the judge? The prosecutors. The prosecutors knew that. Okay? So why wouldn't you just side with the defense? Because it was being granted regardless of Ann Taylor, I guess you could even say, even having the survey. Okay? So if there's any communication between the prosecution and the defense, you would be saying things like, well, we know that we can't facilitate this here. we kind of heard that in their arguments. We can't move. We can't go to Boise because we're not going to be able to run Latah County. But then Judge said, wait a second, there's a twofold to that. Even if you're going to be doing all of this and we're going to have this, and this going on, and we're going to need extra this, and we're going to need this, you can't run Latah County even from here. Okay? So guess who knew it? The prosecution knew that. Maybe everybody was holding out and waiting out for a plea deal. Ever think of that? But I will tell you this, the road, if it would have stayed on, think about it. If the road would have stayed on a preliminary hearing and there would have been a preliminary hearing when there was supposed to be a preliminary hearing, what would happen? Like, everything got pushed in a different direction because they did that indictment through the grand jury, and then they went that way to okay, well, we're going to fight this. This indictment, and that's what they were doing. So if it stays on the route of a preliminary hearing, we probably would have been able to get to this answer. Woo! We would have been able to get to this answer a hell of a lot sooner. Fuck, who even knows if there would be still a trial going on? But, so I get it with, they're saying the written decision is even more informative if the judge knew. I don't think the judge knew this. The judge isn't even truly thinking about this until somebody is actually presenting some stuff, talking about it, and then the judge, at least over here, has some common motherfucking sense. Because it wasn't like the prosecution was providing them with this information to say, we can't have this here. It was actually the prosecution that was saying, we can have it here. And I'm just over here thinking that when we get to the reading these parts of the motion or the order, it's truly enlightening to see that the safety of Moscow and Latah County would truly be in jeopardy if that trial was held there. And we're not talking about the safety of Bryan Kohberger. We're talking about the safety of that community. We're talking about you guys would be at risk, wide open, because you guys would be lacking proper protection as everyday citizens living how you would normally want to live. All right. Wait till you see what we start talking about in here. And it's just like, it's almost like, duh. But here, the prosecution was never talking about it. The prosecution saying, no, we can handle it. So think about this. You guys want to have this trial here at the expense of 40,000 people being, whoop, because we can't police it. It's wild. So the points he mentioned don't all of the sudden jump up and bite him in the rear. Why are they attacking Judge over this? Don't you think this is a prosecution problem? Don't you think this is a Bill Thompson leadership problem? I think Bill Thompson's going to be gone. I don't think that Bill Thompson has any... This is so out of his motherfucking league. He needs to just... this is... it didn't just come out and bite you in the rear. The judge made this decision on his own with logic, critical thinking skills, reasoning, all those great things. And here the prosecution is still saying, we need to have this trial here. We need to have this trial here. Meanwhile, they didn't have a damn person testify on their behalf. They didn't even use the tool of cross-examination. And they were totally, totally not prepared. And I knew this was going to be a landslide, kick the dick, keep on moving. I called it. I knew it. They have no argument. He then says, another issue was the poor cross-examination by the state of the defense's expert witnesses. A judge can only rely on the evidence presented, and when you don't properly cross-examine expert witnesses or present any of your own, you are left relying on the opinions of the defense. Hey, guess what? That's a preview of what's coming in this motherfucking trial. Lana, what do you mean? I'm saying that that's a preview. You sort of saw an ass whooping. We witnessed an ass beating in the courtroom. That's what we witnessed. It's kind of like watching preseason football. It's kind of like watching preseason baseball. It's watching the varsity team beat the shit out of the JV team in practice. And I'm sorry, but you just don't turn on. You just don't start lawyering. It's trial time. That's not how it works. That's not how life works either. Either you're just fucking rock star morning and night, or you're just not. So I'm going to agree with them here too, which is another issue was the poor cross-examination. It was poor preparation, but I'm going to tell you when it was poor preparation. If they gave a damn about the victims' families, this would have never even went to this point. It would have just been, we are moving this. We don't even need to have this because we want to keep the ball rolling, right? So we're not even going to, we agree we need to move this. We agree with you. How many of these past months would have never happened? And we're already where we need to be, and let's agree on this. But no, Latah County just kept gaslighting the Gonsalveses. Gaslighting them. Hey, we're going to make sure that he's dressed nice, do all these things, because guess what? We're going to keep it here. We're going to keep it here in this county because this is our only chance to win, in my opinion. This gives us the best chance to win this case if it stays here. And so they're over here thinking that Bryan Kohberger is in a tie for the sole purpose because this is so that we can keep the trial in Latah County? The fuck? No, Bryan Kohberger is dressed the way that he's dressed because that's his right. He has the right to dress like that. Here you go. Here you go. We're doing all this so we can gaslight who? All of us then, and to think that they're not biased in Latah County, only that everybody knows that they are. And judge, get the fuck out of here. No. So wait, gaslight the community and the public to think, oh yeah, man, look at how great Latah County is. They truly are not biased and they truly want the truth. And no, absolutely not. But if you truly listen, that's how fucking crazy that sounds. You're lying. You want to act like we can be, we're not prejudicial. We got no biases because we're letting that man in a tie. But really, we're only doing it so that we can keep the trail here. Ha, 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 ha. That's what that all sounds like. And to me, that's wild. K Miller in the house, baby. 20 memberships. Who's turning green? Welcome, new members. Shake your tail feather. Whoop, whoop. So, again, I feel for the Gonsalveses because they've been lied to since day one. I think the only person that's truly been honest with them was my butt. Yeah, my butt. Coroner, my butt. Whether you want to call it a leak, whether you want to call it whatever, she told them all about what that scene looked like. Points of damage don't match, all those things. Or maybe did Steve just hear it wrong? I don't know. Again, I feel for them because they've been lied to. And this is one of those times. No different. Them ever being told that this is going to stay in Latah County. Because, guys, even if we don't have the hearing with any of the surveys, wait till you guys see this order. This order would have happened regardless of the surveys, regardless of any of those experts testifying. That's what's wildly amazing. Because Judge gets it. He talks like a not a judge in this order, which I think is great. So a judge can only rely on the evidence presented, and when you don't properly cross-examine expert witnesses or present any of your own, you are left relying on the opinions of the defense. The opinions. Well, actually, this isn't just the opinions of the defense. It's the order of the judge based on expert testimony, technically. So then let's not forget the massive contradictions of having a University of Idaho employee as an expert witness. Because they're saying that's a massive contradiction, saying that University of Idaho employees can't be unbiased. But yet the Gonzalezes are saying that somebody that testified, Eliza Cover, that she was a University of Idaho employee. Eliza was a University of Idaho employee, or did she work for Eastern Washington? Are we talking about the hottie toddy professor woman? Because are you talking about maybe she was a graduate of the university? But I don't believe that she worked for the University of Idaho. Currently, I thought she worked for Eastern Washington as a professor. Maybe my notes were off. Kay Miller in the house. But here, second bombshell that I want to give props to Steve on this, but he's probably not gonna like what I have to say after it, though. All right. Then he says, and at the same time that all this is happening, and at the same time allowing Scott Green, the University of Idaho president, to write a book claiming to be an integral part of your investigation. Finally. Right? I'd be pissed. Steve, you should be pissed. You are pissed. Christy, you should be pissed. You are pissed. But I have a question here. Guess where Scott Green was this past Sunday? He was in Coeur d'Alene. He was in Coeur d'Alene signing books. Yes. And my question is I know my dad would have to be held back by like a crowbar or some shit, because my dad would take his happy ass down to wherever the hell this guy was in his city and say, Scott Green, I want to have a word with you. Can you come here for a second? We're in the midst of a decision that's coming about a trial, a murder trial that's to do with my daughter. And you're over here running around a little book tour in my city now and making money and doing whatever you're doing. And we don't even have a decision if this is going to be moved, but your book is a fucking problem. My dad would have been down there saying, I want to have some words with you. What the fuck are you doing? Going on book tours, signing books, meeting with people. Like, what are you doing? Why? I want some answers to that. And you know what you can do with the money? You can put it in my grandkids' account for college. That's what you can do with the money. I'd get rowdy. I would have taken the camera crew, called up the press people, and my ass would have been down at the Coeur d'Alene, the book signing on September 8th, letting Scott Scott Green, I'd let him have it. Because I'd be allowed to. That's my First Amendment right. I'm exercising it. I want to know why you're fucking up this case. And I want to know that. And he can say, oh, I'm not doing anything. Is this necessary right now, though? Why would you even take a chance with it? I don't know. I just think that it's right there. And if you need to be on the camera to do it, fine. Call up News Nation. I'm sure this all correspondent to, oh my God, you're going to go face Scott Green. They would have been on the first plane to be right there. Finally, what was the point of the non-dissemination order? Private hearings, closed door tactics, allowing the defendant to be dressed in a suit for every televised hearing, etc. What was the point of all of that? The point of all of this, Steve, is that so you don't sit through another fucking trial. So that you don't have to sit through another trial. That should be the point for you, because I wouldn't want to do that as a parent. The point, though, for Bryan Kohberger and any defendant is that you have rights and you have the right to all of these things. But I know that me as a parent, there's no way in hell I want to do 2 trials. I couldn't imagine being in a Karen Reed spot right now. Her parents' spot. That's the point. Rights. Bryan Kohberger has rights. As victims, we have rights as victims, but when that right, when that truly comes out as in after the trial and in other phases with the sentencing and speaking out on impact statements, but I think that just says it to me, like, what was the point of doing all of this if it was just going to get change of venue? Do you know how truly ignorant that is? I have no problem saying it because that's a very ignorant statement. Finally, what was the point of the non-dissemination order, private hearings, closed-door tactics, allowing the defendant to be dressed in a suit for every televised hearing, etc.? But you know who I think that that's for? I think that's for Bill Thompson. I think that's for Bill Thompson to basically, that was a shot out at him, that was a hit at him to say, you told us that we were doing all of this to keep it in Latah County. That's why you told us we were doing this. So I believe that was a hit right there to Bill Thompson. But just come out and say it. I bet you, I triple dog dare you to come out and say that truth, because that's the truth. You were told that. You were told all of those things were happening, not because we give a fuck about his rights, because we think that we got the right guy. We know that we got the right guy. We went out and told the world that we got the right guy. We went out and told the world to pass around that affidavit. Okay? We don't give a fuck about his rights. He's a piece of shit. He's a fucking killer. He did it. But we're doing all of this to keep it here. Bet. Finally, I'm sorry. As victims' families, you are left to just watch like everyone else. Well, I have something to say about that too. I don't know in case you guys missed this, but I told all y'all on this channel, as well as JLR's channel, told people that before there was ever a piece of paper that hit the Idaho interest page that said, whoop, whoop, this thing right here that came out, right? Before this ever came out, I told y'all this was happening, right? Right. How do you think we knew that? How would I possibly know that? Like, I'm not going to come out and say something on my channel and just be like, oh, God, I hope, pray to God, please be right, please be right. Oh, my God. Ask frenzy people or whatever they're called. Ask them how they got this right here before it hit the public interest page. As victims' families, you are just left to watch just like everyone else, and you have little rights or say in the process. Well, you definitely aren't just sitting there watching like the rest of us. They talked to all the victims' parents first. They definitely, I'm telling you, if they tried to rig stuff to keep that in Latah County, they're definitely doing things for the families, in my opinion. And this would be no different. So a relied source gave Frenzy Files, or what's that? Whatever it is. Ask them how they got this. Eat a bag of D's. You know what that means? Only if you let them hit them in your face. The courts are not for entertainment. That's why often I question a person's agenda in true crime genre. I guess my channel is called Truth and Transparency. If everyone's transparent in true crime, it's not entertainment. I don't think that this channel is entertainment for purposes of people's like tragedies. Is that what you're referring to? No, I'm all about our fucking rights. And right now, all I see is a lot of defendants being violated, which is my constitutional right. Sheldon Jeter Jr., he's innocent sitting behind bars because the racist fucks in Beaver County, not to mention they railroaded an innocent man, not to mention he would kill for representation like Ann Taylor. You do things the right way. You do things the right way all the time. You know, that's what integrity is. When nobody's looking, that you're going to make the same decision if everybody's looking. And I see Idaho. I see a lot of people with no fucking integrity. Pennsylvania, same thing. Massachusetts, holy shit, put them on top. So true, TNT. Keep it real, girl. I love that. Eat a bag of D's, baby. You know what that is? I wish that your little thing would have turned green, just so I could say, eat a bag of D's is a damn member of this channel. Eat a bag of D's. Eat a bag of D's is blocked from my feed. Bye. Oh, shit. And remember, guys, we be paying the bills over there. So, again, I want to see Steve Gonsalves go straight up to fucking Scott Green. As much as I would love to see him assault him with just throwing a punch, but no. Ask him the tough questions. Ask him what the fuck he's doing. I respect the hell out of Lana. Thank you. Appreciate it. Ask him what the hell he's doing, because I think that Steve has the right to do that. Honestly, we all do. It's our right to ask First Amendment, whatever. But if anybody has the right to ask Scott Green what the F he is doing, it's Christy and Steve. How the hell do you come to my city in a book tour with my daughter's murder trial on the line here? We're trying to keep us from traveling all these miles, and you're on a book tour talking about, are you out of your fucking mind? That's what would have been great. That's newsworthy. And I just think that Steve, I said it, I think that his anger is totally displaced in the wrong. Get up in your prosecutor's ass. Get up in, not the judge. The judge isn't, he's not pro-defense. Are you kidding me? I can't even believe that. To say that. He has made zero, he's not given an order to say, you know how much discovery they're still sitting on? Come on, man. I went back and watched Steve's interview from like a year ago. And it's just totally changed. To say that, oh no, I'm still totally, he could be innocent, you know, and just to see where this has come. And he can say, well, Lance, because I know way more than you do. And then I have to say one thing. How? If the victims' families aren't given a damn thing more than me, more than anybody else, and you have to sit here like the rest of us, I'm going to tell you that no, because then you can't possibly feel the way that you feel. I'd be angry that my kid was murdered, but I wouldn't know where to, I would be watching all this stuff like I continue to keep being lied to by the freaking prosecutor. This prosecutor is the reason that it's not there. Chief Fry, you want someone to be pissed at? Be pissed at that bald motherfucker. He sat there and said, 100% this is the guy. 100%. You want me to remind you of that interview? Let me remind you of that interview. Because it's disgusting. And if he's sheriff, pray for Latah County. Ridiculous. Little fucking lizard lips. Oh K Miller making it pop in here. If Bag of Dicks goes green, I'm gonna die. Here, let me remind everybody what's up. This shit pisses me off. Y'all remember what Chief Fry did in an interview, right? Your channel, Anna. Go to Chief Fry interview after arrest. Sat down with the Today Show, right? We believe we have our guy.
A 28-year-old graduate student was taken into custody yesterday in Pennsylvania, thousands of miles from the crime scene, now facing 4 counts.
We believe we have our guy.
Right here.
Is in custody.
We believe we have our guy, the one that committed these murders.
The alleged killer, 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger. Chief James Fry confirming to ABC News this white Hyundai Elantra seen in surveillance video from a nearby gas station the night of the murders belongs to Kohberger, saying he was the only person inside. The car now in police custody after being taken.
Well, as confident as Chief Fry is, let me just tell you this. Fuck, you must have been there, Fry. He was the only one inside. No, actually, remember 2 survivors were inside as well. I just can't believe this shit. We have found Elantra. I don't even know what happened. You guys remember that shit? Fry is though, we don't even know, and Payne knows nothing, and now all of them are just like, oh god, we're totally gonna get fucked here. How about I think that Judge saw all this shit and was like, get me the fuck up out of here. This is going zoo. You know, like the Tweety Bird or Roadrunner that keeps running and it's like, oh, and it goes just down. It's unbelievable.
Taken from Kohberger's parents' home in Pennsylvania. Law enforcement sources saying police used DNA technology to help track down Kohberger 2,500 miles away.
What was it like to start zeroing in on Bryan Kohberger?
You know, it's stressful.
You didn't do anything. You didn't zero in on anybody. You weren't involved in this. In fact, the prosecution is not going to call you as a witness. So what the fuck did you do?
Know that this individual is out there somewhere. We knew that there was going to be an arrest made in Pennsylvania. That's still, even though we're here, it's stressful here.
Kohberger living just 10 miles from the crime scene in Pullman, Washington, where he had been working towards his PhD in criminology at Washington State.
To find out it was our neighbor, it was like very horrific.
Those who knew
he gave me Chris Watts vibes. I'm just kidding. Every time I see a Porch interview, Chris Watts vibes. I mean, remember, guys, this is just a little clip. Yeah, we have our guy 100%. Remember? It
was just a shock. He was always nice to me, maybe not to other people.
Now, with authority.
Okay, I want the rest of that interview. You hear how quick that was cut? He was nice to me. Maybe not other people. Like, I don't know. I can't speak for them.
Nice to me, maybe not to other people.
And then right there, cut it like before she say but. Like, I don't know. Like, she didn't mean it. We don't know if she really truly meant it like, oh, I have knowledge of him not being nice to other people. It's just how you say, this is wild. This is absolute sickening. Okay, so this is why Latah County is not. That's why we can't have these people in Latah County having anything to do with the jury. The jury? Playoffs? Latah County, these people, these no integrity mofos are going to be in charge of the jurors. Now, if people didn't take the 19 minutes to read the article as mainstream media when they came out here, Jennifer Coffin never, oh my God, she is so dumb. I cannot believe that she was ever an FBI agent. I'm sorry, but she is just, oh my God. She is just dumb, man. Oh, God. Willie, what's up? Your girlfriend hitting you up? That crazy bee. Thank God she likes you, not me. Okay, so let's take a look. We all know the introduction of the case. Now, we all know that Ann Taylor, so it says the background, but here, the most important part of after page 1, 2, and 3 is, despite efforts by the parties and the court to protect the jury pool from being in with the information that is potentially prejudicial and false. You guys see that? And false. And false. Gotta add that in there. Why should there be information that's false? But hey, there's information that's false. In order to, this is what we got to do. So, despite efforts from potentially prejudicial and false, extensive media coverage by mainstream media sources such as newspapers, radio stations, and television news outlets has continued throughout the state and nationally. Additionally, and perhaps more challenging, is the ongoing spread of prejudicial misinformation, rumors, and patently false theories of the case on social media outlets such as Facebook, podcasts, and blogs. There have also been numerous television shows, documentaries produced about the homicides, and at least one book has been published. Again, this is despite the efforts by the parties, guys. The parties they've tried it. All right. The parties agree the case has generated extensive coverage, but they disagree on how the court should attempt to remedy the issues. Okay. So they both agree, like, hey, now, Judge then goes to say, okay, this is the evidence part of the document, which is we all saw it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what each of these people testified to because we know. But what I did do is tell you how Judge felt about it. So the first person is that he didn't find any. The most important thing is that here's all these witnesses. Not a single one did Judge say, I did not find this person credible. All right. Judge did not say, I don't find anybody credible. So he's fine. He has no reason not to find them credible. There was no pushback, right? So Todd Murphy went first, James Todd Murphy. Then this is the doctor, your professor, okay? And first, Latah County. So I'm going to make it big. This is the most important part you want to take away from this, which is first, Latah County authority figures. This is what she's saying. First, Latah County authority figures have publicly spoken about Kohberger's guilt in absolute terms. I just showed you that. Okay. The former Moscow Police Department Chief James Fry, who was the police chief during the investigation of the homicides, publicly declared he had no doubt that the right guy had been arrested for the crimes. After Kohberger's arrest, the University of Idaho president Scott Green stated publicly that the university community once again felt safe. Generally speaking, individuals are more likely to trust and believe authority figures. Next up. Next up. Thus, the inner clash. This is the most important thing. The inner clash may cause jurors to vote guilty even when they believe there is reasonable doubt as to the guilt. This inner clash may be even greater when personal connections within Latah County are considered, i.e., my neighbor who is a police officer may be upset with me if I don't vote guilty. Okay, so that's boom. Now, next up, we all know Brian Edelman. He did the survey, solid as hell. But what Judge points out, remember how long that was? What Judge points out about Brian Edelman, then, doctor, is that at the end here, even more important to Dr. Edelman, even more important to Dr. Edelman, though, was the issue of personal connections, basically, again, backing what the professor was saying, and these personal connections within Latah County and the personal impact this case has had on Latah County residents. The feelings of fear, stress, and anxiety surrounding the homicides were significantly greater in Latah County than in the other counties. This was also true for the connections to the University of Idaho and local law enforcement. Dr. Edelman testified that these connections and experiences are the real issues when it comes to seating an impartial jury in Latah County. Like I said, everybody's going to know about this case. It's not about knowing about this case or hearing about this case. It's about I can be impartial because I don't give a damn. I don't know these people. Let me hear the facts. I'm not going to say, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. I don't have a connection. Based on the results of his surveys, Dr. Edelman opined that it is in his expert opinion that it is a reasonable likelihood, and that's what you have to show, the reasonable likelihood that the presumption of guilt prevails in Latah County and that a change of venue is appropriate. That's the burden. And they did that with a landslide. That's why this was so easy to write up for him. Look at this part, guys. Next, I loved her. I wrote her. I said, I don't know how many emails you may have gotten, but girl, you fucking bomb in my book. Like, blew the tits off the wall. Like, just was awesome. She's a rock star. People like that are just, like I said. Guess how many clips there were that they provided to the court? The defense also submitted numerous media articles and video clips demonstrating the sheer volume of coverage this case has generated. The court agrees, and the state does not dispute that the coverage of this case, both mainstream media and social media outlets, has been extensive in Latah County through Idaho and nationally. Now, while some of the mainstream reporting has been appropriate and based on information from the court record, there has been extensive coverage that is prejudicial to Kohberger and likely inadmissible at trial. Woo-hoo! It's pretty fucking simple. Now your standard, and it goes over this is case law, this is the standards. Here we go. His analysis. In deciding a motion for change of venue, the court determines whether in the totality of the circumstances, juror exposure to pre-trial publicity will result in a trial that is not fundamentally fair. Okay. The prosecution does not get to start off a football game 21-0. All right. Sorry. Here we go. This is what you got to do. Number one, the existence of affidavits indicating prejudice or an absence of prejudice in the community where the trial took place. Number two, the testimony of the jurors at jury selection regarding whether they had formed an opinion based upon adverse pretrial publicity. Number three, whether the defendant challenged for cause of any of the jurors finally decided. Let me tell you why this part. So it's 1 and 2. So this would be prejudice. And the judge is like, listen, the only way that you can even get to this part to be able to prove this is we have to get to the part of even talking to the jurors. So he can't even rule on this because there has been no voir dire of the jurors. So we don't know if there's actual prejudice because we're not even to that point. But you can show which is, it says there's actual prejudice, and then there's presumption of prejudice. And the only reason that they can't say that prejudice exists is because they're not to that point. Remember when Judge was saying, well, we're basically going to probably have 2 of these, because if we do this now, you could try to win off of the second point B, but actually when you would get closer to the trial and you're actually pulling for your jury and setting it all up, we could actually come across the A, which is the actual prejudice. So I noted that here, that this is not even applicable because we're not talking to the jurors. We are not doing that yet. So here the defense argues that the survey work of Dr. Edelman establishes actual prejudice within Latah County. However, actual prejudice cannot be evaluated at this juncture based on a survey of some 400 people. I agree. But that would, so that, and the only way that's ever going to come is later when you actually are doing your first questionnaires out. Then you're cutting it down and down. You're like, dude, we have actual bias. We can prove this now. But you can't even get to that till you would be handling the actual jurors. So then you get to, there's 2 parts, and this is the part that they get it on, which is the presumption of prejudice, and that's there. And that's right here where I highlighted to even just worry about, which is in cases where juror prejudice has been presumed, the following factors have been examined, which is the size and the characteristics of the community in which the crime occurred. 2, whether the news stories contained a confession or other blatantly prejudicial information, a shit ton in this case, of the type readers or viewers could not reasonably be expected to shut from sight, such as Bryan Kohberger stalked the victims. Bryan Kohberger was following them on social media. Bryan Kohberger, all of those things that people out there think have gone on in this case that have not gone on in this case. That's out there. And you want to know who's fucking putting it out there? Who's putting it out there? The same people that want to keep it in Latah County. Let's just put it that way. That's the people that are putting that out there. Bryan Kohberger has no links to these victims. None. Let's put it this way. The state cannot prove any link to these victims between Bryan Kohberger and any of these victims. There's people that think that Bryan Kohberger latched on to the Wi-Fi in the kid's house. That never fucking happened. Never happened. Number 3, the lapse of time between the prejudicial news coverage and the trial. Number 4, what the jury actually found as far as guilt is concerned. And here we go. In Idaho, courts consider 1, the existence of affidavits inciting prejudice. Do you not think that affidavit incited prejudice? Because I do. Or an absence of prejudice in the community where the trial took place. Number 2, the nature and content of the pretrial publicity. Number 3, the amount of time between pretrial and trial. And this is what he says. First, as to the size and characteristics of the community. Latah County is relatively small with a population of 41,000. Only 24,963 people are eligible to serve on a jury in Latah County. The state argues that this is enough to impanel 18 impartial individuals. The defense argues that the small, tight-knit community makes it impossible to find impartial individuals because of the extensive publicity Latah County residents have been exposed to, the emotional experience and feelings of fear residents experience in the wake of the homicides, feelings of loyalty to the community and community connections. The defense's position is supported by the testimony of Todd Murphy, your professor, and Edelman. as Mr. Murphy testified, 36%. Remember I mentioned this? I said, holy shit, guys, look at 36% of the people. Latah County only makes up 2% of the whole entire population of Idaho. But 36% of all mainstream news coverage of this case throughout Idaho has been in Latah County. Do you know what those numbers? Those numbers are astronomical when you're talking about the population of the whole state and then just taking little bit of like Latah, and it's 36. Are you kidding me? That's unbelievable numbers. But after Mr. Murphy testified to that, this was coupled with the smaller population in Latah County makes the probability. Remember I told you guys about possibility and probability? Look at what he's using. He's using my language. The probability. Isn't that great? I love probability and stats. Put me in that and I won't fucking miss a question. Of Latah County residents, exposure to such coverage higher than in Ada, higher than anywhere. So your professor there testified that the more publicity one is exposed to, the more likely an individual is to dislike Kohberger and view him as guilty. Well, Dr. Edelman's survey results suggest that similar percentages of survey respondents throughout the counties surveyed knew of the case and presumed Kohberger to be guilty. The sheer number of individuals in the larger counties, because it's probability, the larger counties increase the chances of impaling a fair and impartial jury. That's just simple fucking math. But it's like, that's to me right there. That's just, boop, he got it. He understood it. He was feeling it. Further, your professor there and Dr. Edelman expressed great concern over the emotional experiences, feelings of fear, and personal connections of Latah County residents. These issues are unique to Latah County. You know what this reminds me of right here? These issues are unique. That is exactly what Batanti said about Bethany. We need her to testify. This cannot be some hearsay bullshit. Her experiences are unique in what she's seen, heard, all that stuff. That's what that reminds me of there. That's the last time I saw a sentence like that. These issues are unique to Latah County. And sure as shit, Bethany is subpoenaed to testify at the grand jury. Sure as shit, prosecution is completely scrambling. Holy shit, we have to indict this man. Holy shit, our case is crumbling in front of our fucking face. We cannot go to a preliminary hearing here. We're going to get waxed. They're totally prepared. They know we did this. They know we did that. Let's go. Sooner Girl, thank you so much for finding my channel too. I love Oklahoma people. Yeehaw! Again, these issues are unique to Latah County and exacerbated by the small size of the community potential jurors in Ada County, for example, did not experience the same level of fear caused by the homicides. Similarly, it is far more likely for jurors in Latah County to know someone involved in the investigation of the case or otherwise related to the case, and more likely that Latah County residents have discussed the case with each other. Additionally, the smaller community makes it more difficult to keep the identity of the jurors private, which, as Dr. Professor says and testified to, may hinder some jurors in their decision-making because of feeling of loyalty to the community. And you guys, if anybody could truly sit in my chat right now or anybody's chat right now and say that what is being written in here, I cannot believe this shit, then I'm sorry, but I cannot excuse your ignorance. That's just pure ignorance. Because this is called reality. That's just true. This is absolutely true. Next, as discussed above, it is undisputed that there has been undisputed. That was a dig on the prosecution there. Next, as discussed, undisputed that there has been significant media coverage in this case throughout the state and nationally, so it's undisputed. While some of the coverage has been neutral, much of the coverage has been sensationalized and prejudicial to Mr. Kohberger. Not here. Everybody is innocent. You guys heard me last night. I'm like, I'd have to quit. I'd have to quit, everybody. I'm over here thinking, no, because you know why? Do your fucking job, prosecutor. And I'll be like, hell yeah. It's unreasonable to think that anybody else could have done this. It's unreasonable to think that anybody else could have done this. That's all you got to give me, is it's unreasonable to think that anybody else could have done this. And in this case, you've lost your mind if you think that it's unreasonable to think that somebody else could have done this with what we know right now as a community. And it makes me sick to see that you were telling us, Latah County, be patient. This stuff takes time. We got to make sure that we can come to a closure and we can prosecute, blah, blah. And then here you guys are taking your dicks and just jerking them and coming out and just blowing it after you arrest this guy and saying, we have our man. 100%. Are you kidding me? You're worried about us? You just blew it for the victims. That's what I think. I think that Latah, you want to write a book? Write a book about that. Here's a way to fuck it up by Chief Fry. Fucking Fry, call it. They're going to be like, Lana, did you really have to do that part of the show? Yes, I did. I felt it was necessary. Kay Miller. You know what? How is that guy still running Kentucky, running around, and we haven't caught that dude in Kentucky yet? This day and age. Can't catch that guy. How long has he been on the run for? Next up. By way of example, the defense provided the court with 1,222 pages of news articles. Now, how awesome it would have been if the defense would have put a little pun and went 1,122. But they said, we won't do all that. But they went with 1,222 pages of news articles covering the case from one local newspaper. Did you guys see that? It wasn't just like, here, this is everything. You for your determination and vigorous. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Told you today. I was like, I'm feeling feisty. Feeling super feisty. All right. Because for all we know, guys, Bryan Kohberger is a guilty son of a bitch. But you know what? You know what? If he's a guilty son of a bitch, by God, we're going to get him. But we're not going to get people some fucked up way and then ruin it for all of us if we ever need it to be done right, because we are innocent. You just can't do this. I don't understand what's so hard about that. And I can get it. If your opinion is that this guy is so guilty, but guys, guess what? He has rights. Just please start being cautious of our constitutional rights, because before we know it, we're not going to have any. And then you might as well just go live somewhere else. Like, God, fuck. And I guarantee you, if people were to go live other places, they'd be begging and crying and on their knees to come the fuck back here. And so that's just, you're taking for granted, like, everything that we're so fucking, like, we're so privileged to have. I don't get that. I don't understand it. So, I agree, Miss Potts. No one thinks about right until they need them. You guys see that right there? From one local newspaper. I want to know what that one local newspaper was. 1,222 pages of news articles covering the case from one local newspaper. And they were like, we can get it. We can have it here. Hell. Wait till you see what the tops of these articles were. Amen. Amen. Let's talk with Holly. This is 100% about our rights. Yep. And so is the Delphi case, you guys. I mean, what's going on in Indiana with that case is it's so disgusting. It's way blows this out of the water. What's going on in Massachusetts? Cops killing people and having other cops cover for murdering somebody. Did you just hear my sentence? Cops are murdering people that they're raping when they're little kids, and then other cops are covering for them in Massachusetts. Isn't that amazing? These are the people that are what? If there was ever such a death penalty, it should be for people like in power that abuse it and do shit like that. That's death penalty shit. Okay? Y'all want to put death penalty to mentally ill motherfuckers. That's when you are sane and you just think that you can do whatever the fuck you want. That's just sickening. Ugh. Matthew Farwell's fat fucking ass. Someone give him a Key West boomerang for me. Okay. One article published after Kohberger's arrest includes statements from Washington State University students who reported feelings of weird. So weird having sat in class with Kohberger. Felt relieved knowing Kohberger had been arrested. Another article states out by referring to Kohberger as the man accused of slaughtering 4 University of Idaho students. The title of yet another article refers to Kohberger as the UI killer. While the issue of extensive sensationalized coverage is not unique to Latah County, it is potentially more impactful given the volume of coverage coupled with the smaller population. Push that up there. As to the lapse of time between the coverage and the trial, the information provided by Mr. Murphy demonstrates that coverage overall has went down since February 2023. However, there is an uptick in coverage before and after hearings and court decisions. This is especially true for Latah County, with Ada County following in a similar trajectory. The court does not anticipate this trend will change leading up to the trial and anticipates the coverage will substantially increase in the weeks and days before the start of the trial. Duh. Like, he gets it. Like, if he didn't write this shit, then he would be, if he's writing anything but this, I just think that that's foolish. You know, how can you seriously sit here and be like, oh my God, but guess what, guys? You'd be lying. You're lying. At least judge everything he's writing here. Like, where do you see a lie? I haven't seen a lie yet. I haven't seen a lie. Finally, when the court does have affidavits demonstrating prejudice in Latah County, finally, while this court does not have affidavits demonstrating prejudice in Latah County, I disagree. The court must consider the results of the survey that Dr. Edelman prepared. The courts must consider. Again, while the presumption of guilt was similar across all of the counties surveyed, the number is more impactful in Latah County, given the smaller population. Some 67% of Latah County survey respondents reported believing in Kohberger's guilt, with 51 saying, you're going to have to prove it to me. He is innocent. 51 of those indicating it would be hard for Kohberger to convince them of his innocence. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm trying to think of a good analogy with that. 51%. Can you imagine that deliberating room? I am not discussing this. He is guilty, and I'm not deliberating with you fucking people. There's nothing you can say. Oh, okay. All right, well, let's take a show of hands here. We're deadlocked 6-6. Okay, so you guys don't want to talk about it? No, we're a hung jury. So you're not changing my mind. Well, you're not changing my mind. Well, you're not changing my mind. Okay, what do you want to talk about? Because we're going to have to act like we did something in here. That's why I get a black box. It has to change. Someone needs to put on the ballot. Something has to happen here because the jury deliberating, the jury process, man. After reading these interviews that Turtle Boy has done, I want nothing to do with a jury trial. Give me a bench trial. Give me 5 judges, and I just have to get 3 out of the 5 to side with me. Give me something like that, because the level of stupidity, I can't fuck with it. Because you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You know, but I think it should be like this then. I guess we can do this again, just to keep being hung. I think that you should only be able to retry somebody. You get 2 times. That's it. You're not taking me back to court and retrying me over and over and over. That's nuts. Unless there would be a mistrial, because if there's a mistrial during the proceedings, okay. But no. If you get to deliberating and we're talking about a hung, it's over. Because I think in that mentality and thought process is that, okay, you get to continue this until you convict me. Until you convict me, you get to keep on doing this if it's a hung jury. That's setting me up to be found guilty. I don't get it. People are that stupid, Lana. Yeah. And it's not that people want to say, hey, I just think this person's innocent, or hey, I think this person's guilty. It was we all watch the same shit. It's like taking a test. Here, watch this movie. Here we all get a piece of paper. Here's our test. And it's going to be questions on what happened. How about this? You should have to pass the test to know what went on in the trial, to then even be able to participate in the deliberating and deciding of something. Maybe something like that. Like, no, you wouldn't just trust one judge. I think that it should be, 5. And then 3. It's like, or having like 3, and you have to convince, But these people didn't even know, like, they were wrong with what they watched. And how can someone's life be in your hands and you can't ask the question of, wait, I need to know what their testimony was because I was confused. Like, I should be able to read the transcripts. I should be able to hear the audio. I can't just say I should be found guilty or innocent because that person can't oral argue in a deliberating room with some asshole that's saying, no, this is what it says, or this is what my notes say, this is what I'm going with. Your notes are wrong. You're a moron. So give me the audio so that this asshole can hear exactly what this person said. Think about that. And why is everybody so gung-ho about, hey, we have to have a trial? You're only getting 3 weeks. Fuck you. I can have my trial can last a year. You want to kill me. Like Gall saying that the defense, it's crazy. It's crazy. Latah County, here we go. Latah County has approximately 24,000 residents who are eligible for jury service. If 50% of those are disqualified for having fixed opinions as to Kohberger's guilt, we're down to 12,000. Then, this is even before any have been excused for hardships such as illness, breastfeeding. Judge, I love you for writing that. Hardships. I didn't realize that breastfeeding was such a hardship. Come on, Lana, that's hilarious. Where is it? Yes, breastfeeding. You think new judge allow cameras? I do. I think they have no choice. Yeah, because if Bryan Kohberger is not the guy, don't you think Latah County should be worried that someone's going to go killing more people? Like the public interest outweighs. Like, yes, I think that there's going to be cameras. It's not like Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, like those fucking crazy motherfuckers. All right. This is about, we have a right, the interest, the corruption factor that's going to be, it's basically labeled in here is that placed sheath, the interest of the public with, y'all, how did you fill out these affidavits and these search warrants? And like that interest is way more. We have an interest here. And it's corruption. That's what we're teetering here is corruption. I have an interest into seeing how my rights were violated by the FBI. I have an interest in seeing how my rights were violated by anybody in law enforcement that was involved in this. So So loss of wages for 3 months. They're comparing breastfeeding and loss of wages. I think that's great. Sole child care provider for young children, etc. Yep. Thus, when considering the prejudice in Latah County demonstrated in Dr. Edelman's survey and the population size of Latah County together, the court is concerned that if venue is not changed now, like this is an amazing part, it will be asked to reconsider its decision during jury selection then, like down the road here, which if granted at that juncture would likely, very likely result in the trial being delayed many, many months because now we have to move this and find, and that's what the stupidity was that Backseat Bill was talking about. You guys never going to decide to change this last minute and you think that, oh, bring it on data. We can just take you right now. 3-month trial. Here we go. No, absolutely not. And so that's exactly what he's saying, that we're concerned as it is right now. And then if we go all the way up to the 9th hour, 10th hour, 11th hour, fuck. We struck out in most, we can't do it here. Okay, we're going to move it. Now what happens? Well, we're going to give us a new date, but it has to work with like those people at that courthouse. And it's just such common sense. It's logistics. Considering the undisputed evidence presented by the defense, that's a hit on who? He's like, I have no choice. But he made sure that he wrote this. Okay? Because remember, this is going to be precedent. Like, this could be used. Considering the undisputed evidence presented by the defense, the extreme nature of the news coverage in this case, and the smaller population of Latah County, the defense has met the rather low standard of demonstrating a reasonable likelihood. I cannot believe people thought that this had a chance of it truly not getting changed. I was like, this is happening all day. And I kept telling you guys that. I was like, trust me, my bias, I wanted to stay in Latah. It's easier for me because of what I want to do. But it's not in the interest of truth and justice. So thus, the court will grant Kohberger's motion to change venue for presumed prejudice. Now, people were like, that's all they list. That's all they stopped here. Once they saw this is what mainstream media did. Oh, that's it. You guys, that's not it. Actually, the best part, I think, is after that, which is convenience and interest of justice. This was another route that they could have went. And this is where they clean swept it because they got it on number 1B, which is the presumed prejudice versus actual prejudice. And now here's the convenience and interest of justice portion that if you didn't even get it here, you still had a chance to get it here. Ready? Even without a finding of presumed prejudice, venue in this case must be changed for the convenience of parties and witnesses and in the interest of justice. Do y'all see that right there? He's saying even if this didn't even happen, none of this should happen. I still have to grant it. And this is what Anne had argued because of this. And this is why. And this is where Steve got pissed. And I just want to say, Steve, be pissed at the prosecution. Okay? This was a rookie mistake, or they just thought that, hey, judge is just going to deny it and violate Bryan Kohberger's rights. No, the world's watching, and Ann Taylor's not an idiot. So when the world's not watching, you could probably violate way more motherfucker people's rights, but not here. Judge didn't want any part of it. So he just didn't, it wasn't just like, okay, it just made it. No, it kicked its ass. This was going to Ada. So while the issue was summarily addressed by the parties, the court has considered to the logistics while you guys are doing whatever, I'm still considering the logistics while the motion for change of venue is pending. And this is what his research showed. While Latah court staff and court security are ready and willing to facilitate this trial to the best of their ability, there are serious issues that cannot be resolved no matter how much planning and preparation is done. So let me ask you a question. Remember when Christy was like, oh my God, but Mike Haley, she's not out there playing. She's like, why is everybody's life continuing on and nobody's out? You know, these people are just continuing on with life. And, you know, and I'm like, how are you doing that when Mike Haley's not there? Right? Well, think about this. This judge just said, listen, if we were to have this trial in Latah County, 40,000 motherfucking people would be subjected to the following. And so wouldn't this make you so extremely selfish once you read this part? You tell me. So first, and perhaps most important, is the issue of safety and security for the parties, witnesses, victims' families, jurors, and the Latah County community. The Latah County Sheriff's Office, which is currently fully staffed, simply lacks the number of officers needed to provide security for the trial while also continuing to perform their day-to-day duties of patrol and responding to calls. One solution is to ask the Idaho State Police and the Moscow Police Department to help. However, officers from both ISP and MPD were heavily involved with investigating the homicides and in anticipating that several officers will be called to testify at trial. Additionally, it is the court's understanding that both of those agencies are currently understaffed. Pulling local officers away from their normal duties for 3 months to provide trial security would potentially put the Latah County community at risk. Further, in the event of a natural disaster, such as a wildfire or a large emergency, like an active shooter or a multiple vehicle wreck, there is a very real possibility that officers tasked with trial security would be pulled away to deal with other issues. Thus, while our local law enforcement is ready and willing to do what they need to do to ensure a safe trial, there are just not enough officers to ensure the safety of the parties, witnesses, victims' families, jurors, and community for a 3-month period. Similarly, Latah County does not have enough court clerks to effectively manage the jury selection process. It is anticipated that general qualification questions will need to be sent out to 6,000 people. think about this now. Like, this is things that people, when they want to say, like, this isn't just come up and jump up and bite you in the ass. Actually, they've never had this before in Latah County, in Mount. This isn't something that they do every day. So when you want to say it just didn't bite you in the ass, somebody's going to have to draw up these 6,000 individual qualification questions, okay, that are going to get mailed out. You're going to have to set up a spreadsheet. You're going to have to keep track of this shit. The court clerk will be tasked with then entering juror information from those 6,000 individuals into an electronic system. They could even handle tips. This task alone will require several clerks and will take time. Remember, these things take time. Latah County has only one court clerk currently familiar with the process, and probably that's Chief Fry's wife, right? No? So Latah County has only one court clerk currently familiar with the process, and she has several other day-to-day responsibilities outside of her role as jury commissioner. Thus, to accomplish this task, Latah County would have to bring in clerks from other counties to help, along with extra computer equipment for those clerks to perform their work. After the initial process, the court would summon in then 1,800 individuals to fill out extensive juror questionnaires, because then there's going to be a cut from 6,000 to now 1,800. Again, this process would require both court clerks and court security to take attendance, manage, and move the individuals where they need to go to fill out questionnaires in privacy, scan questionnaires, and quickly get the questionnaires to the court and counsel. Again, while Latah County court staff are willing to do what needs to be done, the reality is that we do not have enough individuals to perform the task of jury selection effectively and efficiently. Further, the Latah County Courthouse itself poses significant issues for a trial of the length and magnitude. The courthouse lacks the space needed by both the state and the defense. While the state has a dedicated space within the courthouse, the state would still be faced with the challenge of escorting sensitive witnesses through the public spaces in the courthouse to get to the courtroom. Meanwhile, the defense does not have a dedicated space within the courthouse, and there are limited options available. So we're just going to put the defense wherever and jam them up. And remember, I think Ann Taylor talked about that. Well, what an interesting debate tonight. It's a beautiful debate in here. The few options available, i.e. the district court meeting room or pretrial rooms, are small. They're located in the public areas and are not soundproof. These locations do not provide the defense with the privacy it needs during trial to meet with each other and witnesses. Further, the jury room itself is problematic in terms of its size. Fitting 12 to 13 jurors in the jury room for a routine trial is crowded. Fitting 18 jurors in the jury room for 3 months would be uncomfortable at best. Someone would get pregnant in that room. Additionally, the door between the jury room and the courtroom is not soundproof. Further, court security would be tasked with trying to bring the jury into the courthouse in a fashion that ensured the jurors' privacy while also ensuring the court's privacy. The only option for bringing in the jury into the courtroom is through the public hallway or directly past the court's chambers. Neither are good options. Oh. Further, there is also the issue of continuing day-to-day operations and this is right here why I think Bill Thompson's out. Bill Thompson's done. I think that Bill Thompson's going to be done with the case here. Further, there is also the issue of continuing day-to-day operations at the Latah County Courthouse. The magistrate judge will continue to have daily hearings. A district judge will continue with the day-to-day operations of the district court, and the juvenile and CPS caseloads will have to continue. Additionally, the clerk's office must continue with its day-to-day operations of processing case filings, taking payments, and assisting the public. All these normal court operations will undoubtedly be strained by the resources required for this trial in terms of space and personnel. Now think about this. You know how many corners would be cut? You know how many people that probably should be getting in trouble, or this, or paper stuff not getting filed right, and then we have actual criminals that are not getting properly. Oh, what happens? Oh, somebody just got raped because that motherfucker wasn't behind bars. Because we're for 3 months, and then all the time before that to be ready for the 3-month trial. Do you understand how many people are truly put in significantly harm's way of this courthouse being completely understaffed? That is unsafe. I don't think you think Judge is making this shit up? He's not. He's not making any of this stuff up. But when I read this, and I said to myself, this is the best piece, and this is the best thing that I've heard Judge come from him in the entire time that he's been presiding. Because if I lived in Latah County, I would say thank you. I would say thank you. Thank you. You actually give a fuck about us. Thank you. And instead, he's being absolutely blasted. And that's selfish. And I said, hey, I'll give you grace. Vent, do whatever. But no way can you read this and then say, if you're saying that you don't want this stuff, you don't want bad things to happen to people and people. Judge isn't making this up. A lot of people would be at risk. A lot of shit would fall through the cracks. And the fucking way, like, it'd be a shit show. It would be it would be so unorganized, like, and somebody basically like laid this out for him, or they talked about it. And so when anybody wants to say like, oh, this is just jump up and bite him in the ass, it's like, no, I don't think it did that at all. I think Ann Taylor and Mathis have been giving little lessons, subtle lessons to Judge along the way here of like, you guys have no idea what the fuck we're in for, do you? Hence the 13 document drop by the defense for the death penalty. But this is why I believe that Judge is a special prosecutor. And that's why these other people are on. I think Bill Thompson, he's already in the back seat, but he may be off the motherfucking bus here. So it is quite selfish. It's very selfish. And it's just not safe. So here, furthermore, there is also the issue of continuing to do day-to-day operations in Latah County. The magistrate judge, I talked about that. All these normal court operations will undoubtedly be strained. While traveling to another county for 3 months is indeed inconvenient for the attorneys, the court, some family members of the victims, and some witnesses. That's all that would be inconvenience when you're talking about the number of people. Having the trial at the Latah County Courthouse would also be inconvenient in numerous ways, and beyond that would present serious safety risks. Period. Thus, the interest of justice requires that the trial be moved to a venue with the resources, both in terms of personnel and space, necessary to effectively and efficiently handle a trial of this magnitude and length, so that the parties and the court can focus on the case and not on the woo, like they got to worry about stupid shit, for lack of better words. You can't. I believe that trial, if it was to stay in Latah County with everything that they're saying right here, it would take forever. It would take forever. So, but when you read this and you truly say to yourself, oh my God, I can't believe this, or this, that, and the other, I'm sorry, but that's being selfish. Because I think the people of Latah County are like, thank you so much. Thank you for caring about us. You know, that's the right call. And if I'm a parent, I don't want to do this again. So, but to hear that you think that you dressed the guy in a tie for the purpose to keep it in Moscow, I don't know who the fuck was ever telling them that. I think that if I was Steve, I'd blow the whistle on that and be like, Bill Thompson said we're going to dress him in a suit and tie, and that's how we're going to keep him here. I want him to so bad to say that. Because that should just tell you. I mean, and then Shannon Gray should have been telling them, like, I don't know why he's telling you that, because that's not fucking true. So maybe they need a new lawyer. I don't know, but they just keep being set up, I think, for failure. What they think is going to happen, and that's just, I don't think that's cool either. So I'd consider new advisors or something. Anyways, what do you guys think? What do you got for me? This is changing venue. It should change venue. And even if it didn't make it because of it's making it on, Moscow can't have, like, sorry. So, now, Judge. Do you guys notice how, like, eager, remember, he was like, all right, well, like, when we get in this date, like, we it's already been so long, like, we're ready to get this date going, and we need to have this date. And can you guys remember they wanted to have a trial this past summer? They want to have a trial this past summer. They want to have a trial this past summer. This past summer. So I just think a dose of reality maybe went into, I don't know, but this is exactly where it needs to be. And so what I went ahead and posted is I want to know who's going to take it over. And so I was like, what are even the options? Like, who's running this shit? You know, what's up with Idaho? And so what I said is hey, I want to do some research. Okay. And so I did. I had a couple little birdies help too. And let me pull this up. So you guys watched that debate, right? Maybe some of you guys didn't. You're just gonna have to trust us, Linear. You're gonna have to fucking trust us, all right, man. But I went ahead and posted something on my my channel. Go to your channel. Okay. In the community section, I posted just some things I want to talk about, which was, oh, wait, here. Okay, hold on.
Idaho. They're the ones who will have to make the decision. But the judge pretty much laid out that in Moscow, Idaho, Latah County, where we've seen all the courtroom video from, it's very, very small. I've been there countless times. It's a small courtroom. You see the same couple of deputies every single time. There are very, very few deputies that work for the sheriff's office. There's only a couple of county clerks. And it's just not manageable, the judge says, for them to be able to handle a trial of this magnitude.
No one's talking about safety
So
concerns.
Ada County, Boise,
Nobody
Idaho.
cares about the
we had
Latah
Lori
County
Vallow
residents.
trial there. You remember, I've spent weeks and weeks and weeks there. It's a big judicial complex. It's a big courtroom. There's plenty of space. They've got the secret underground entrance for the jurors.
You guys,
So
right
it
there.
seems like that could
They got the secret enter. They get for the jurors underground. Whoop.
make a lot of sense based on the ruling.
Well, that all sounds great, except if you're the family members of the victims who, you know, want to be there. Understandably, they want to stare.
Wait, why can't they, Ashley? Why can't they? Why can't the family be there? You guys, I want to personally go out and find an Airbnb that will give up their Airbnb for the Gonsalveses to be in Boise for 3 months for the trial. Or even if they're like, okay, hey, we'll go to this place for 2 weeks and I'll move to this place for 2 weeks. Or like a month. But I bet you we can find 3 places that would donate a month to give up an Airbnb for the Gonsalveses to be there. So I'm willing to try to help make sure that happens. But to get on national television and to talk about this and say, oh, but what about this? How about y'all have the fucking money at News Nation? Make it happen for them. How about News Nation gets them a fucking hotel for 3 months? Why doesn't Bill Thompson, who lied to them, pay for their fucking hotel? Like,
Bryan Kohberger in the.
what about Bryan Kohberger's parents? How about that? Who's going to put them up in a hotel? Bryan Kohberger's parents? You going to put them up in an Airbnb too for 3 months? You don't think that Bryan Kohberger's parents are victims in this? They 100% are. That's why if anybody knows about me with the Chris Watts case, I defended Chris Watts' parents because they were, and his sister, they were victims. They didn't do shit. And people are going fucking ham on them. They had rights as grandparents. They have rights as victims. They had a right to be heard. So, Bryan Kohberger's parents, how about that? His sisters. They're victims whether or not Bryan Kohberger is guilty or innocent. And if anybody says, nah, they aren't, ignorance.
All through these proceedings, but it's like 6 hours away. You know, if you go to Ada County down in Boise, it's like 6 hours away from, I think they're in Kootenai County, which is way up north. Were they consulted? Yeah. Did that weigh in at all to this? Look at that map. Look at, there's Latah right up there, and Kootenai's even higher.
And Point.
It's a long drive.
Do they consult? She just wanted to ask him, did they consult who? What, Ashley?
Yeah, it's far. And that's one.
It's far. Get the fuck out of here.
The big issues here, and you feel for the families because it's a 3-month trial. They think, Ashley, 3 months. Imagine having to uproot your life. They have to rent a house. They have to be there for 3 months if they want to be there for the whole thing. So it's a long drive. They're very disappointed that the trial's being moved. There's going to be a new judge, which I found to be a bombshell. I wasn't expecting it. The judge also said he wants off the case. That is something that the family is actually happy about. They were not pleased with the judge. They also said today in a new statement, Kaylee Gonzalez's family, that they haven't exactly been pleased with the prosecution. They feel like they haven't been fighting hard enough. They didn't fight.
They don't have a
this
case.
Change of venue argument hard enough. They didn't fight hard enough to keep it in Moscow, Idaho.
How could you fight something nobody?
The Gonzalez parents.
You guys do realize that the prosecution went out there and tried to get experts to combat it, right? And no expert's going to be like, yeah, sign me up to get fucking bent over in a courtroom, because no, I can't. Like, what they're saying is right. How can I go against it? Well, we're going to pay you. I'm not. That's career suicide. I'm good. Thanks. There's no argument for that shit. Ann Taylor walked in there with the goddamn dream team from 1992, okay?
And also to their attorney.
Christian Laettner walked in
I
that bitch.
I want to play you a little bit of that, Ashley.
You said, you got to be more aggressive. You guys have to be more aggressive. And they pushed back at us. And here we are 2 months away from 2 years, and they're resetting. So we were right. We told them they needed to be a little more aggressive. maybe a lot more aggressive, somewhere in the middle. And, you know, here we are today, and we were right. But we can course correct. We can get this fixed. We can get the right guy in the right chair.
We can get the right guy in the right chair. He's blaming this on the judge. I'm dead, man. I'm sorry, but this is wild to me. This has nothing to do with the judge. We need to get a biased motherfucker in that chair. Man. I would at least just come out and say, listen, I'm biased as fuck. My daughter was killed. I'm saying wild shit. I don't care about anybody's rights. I care about like that motherfucker. You know what? I don't care if I die. I'm gonna take him out. I could at least. This is just. I cannot believe that Shannon is letting this fuck. Yep, go ahead out there, say whatever.
And we can go from there.
This isn't the end. This isn't the end of the road. This is not over. This isn't a, you know, because I take it to heart, like that's a win for them, you know, and it's like tick for tack. But you know, other people in the family have different mentality than that. And, you know, they say, Mom, you got to look at the bigger picture. You got, you know, you can't, it's not tick for tack. It's not tick for tack.
So you can imagine, Ashley, how difficult it's been for them and for the other victims' family members to think that now there's going to be a whole new venue. They don't know where it is. And on top of that, there's going to be a whole new judge.
Okay, Jen, I have this other question because last week we were talking about 13 filings that his defense attorneys put forth to Judge John Judge, you know, who's still presumably hanging on until a new judge is appointed.
Bless them.
But what do we know about those filings? They want the death penalty off
Ashley,
the table.
why are you? Why, now you're going on this other tangent. Like, what the fuck? This is about it's the death penalty.
And they suggested all sorts of things, from it's unconstitutional to, you know, the cruel and unusual punishment, etc. Where does that stand?
Do you guys, you know, Miss Potts is going to love this. Did you guys see the latest filing, though? They just keep lining up these motherfucking rock stars. I don't know where Ann Taylor is getting these rock stars from. Okay, you need to read the experts filing, the CV of this woman. I'm just, dude, it's wild. And hooey, that's what I mean by like a new prosecutor has to come in. And so why the parents don't see that Bill Thompson is not the one.
Well, we don't really know.
And him being in charge of any of this, he's the reason it's not in Latah County. He ran his mouth. So did Chief Fry. But then he's just basically sitting there not doing anything anyways. He needs to be gone. You need to have this in the hands of special prosecutors that know what the fuck they're doing. Period. So I don't understand why they're not asking for a new prosecutor instead of asking for a new judge. I'd be asking for a new prosecutor. Special prosecutor, bring it on. Death penalty case. I think the death penalty is gonna go too, guys. Move Bill to the trunk. Fuck it. He's no longer backseat Bill. Hit the button. I'm personally glad there's a new judge. I like Judge. He was at least some eye candy to look at. He reminded me of Jerry fucking Springer, okay? Every time I saw Judge, I felt like I was watching Jerry Springer again. Jerry! So
Judge is hanging on. I've been trying to figure it out. I was talking to
look at this. Motion to strike, utter disregard. Motion to strike the death penalty. Motion to strike state's notice pursuant to IC 18-400-4A. Motion to strike notice of intent to seek the death penalty. International law. Motion to strike notice of intent to seek the death penalty. The contemporary standards of decency, vagueness. I think that they have a chance with vagueness. And so does what's her name? That's the person that filed the motion to strike notice of intent to seek the death penalty. Failure to present aggravators. Motion to strike multiple victims. Motion to strike HAC. Motion to strike future dangerous. Motion to strike felony murder. Motion to expert witness disclosure. That's amazing. You need to click on that right there. and motion and memorandum in support. We kind of looked at that. Boy, I'd hate to be the one that has to like answer all that. Like, and it's not Ann Taylor that's doing the work. That's Jay. That's Jay's work. So
Shannon Gray,
he's the constitutional law.
Gonzalez's attorney. You know, there's a thought here, and it could happen that he's just done already. That the Supreme Court's going to decide, hopefully quickly, who the new judge will be.
I told y'all this is happening.
The new judge will take over right away.
Calling the shots over here.
Argument right now over the death penalty. The defense is trying to get it thrown out. Prosecution has to weigh in. There is a hearing set for November on that. Ashley.
No, he's not losing any of his attorneys at all, regardless.
That it was going to be in Moscow, Idaho.
Who?
Likely not going to be in Moscow anymore. Not going to be in front of Judge. So is this going to delay things? Will that hearing still happen in November? Where will the hearing be? I mean, you can understand the frustration with the families not really knowing.
Yeah. I also heard Mrs. Gonzalez say something about they're going to get some new help in the chair. And I'm not sure if she was referring to whatever new county comes along is going to help out with prosecution. I don't assume that's the case. I assume these prosecutors will move to a different county, period.
Are you?
Yeah, it's going to be the same prosecution. Okay,
God,
it's
I disagree
the
with
Latah
that.
County prosecutors, and then they've got the help of the state attorney general's office. What she's talking about in the chair when she says we're going to get someone,
that's
in the
Judge.
chair, she's talking about the judge.
Thanks for watching.
Ashley, did you really not know that? Come on.
To find News Nation on your.
God, I think sometimes she just says stuff like that. But anyways, what the fuck help in the chair? Yeah, they're just happy they want Judge gone. They said that Judge is biased. He's been for the defense. Everything the defense has wanted, the defense got. And then I think me and Andy Potts talked today, and I said, I bet you Ann Taylor wants those 17 requests for discovery that she doesn't fucking have. Like, give me a break. But it just, I mean, we're just seeing Ann Taylor and company literally kick the dicks of the prosecutors in right now. And it's been at every turn. I think I put it down. The last time that the defense has had a loss is in the motion to dismiss the grand jury for, all that stuff. And guess what? That's going to come back into play here they're going to start these filings after they figure out where it's moving. And you remember how, was it Judge that said, I'm meant to, like, whatever way I decide, there's going to be a, was that for this case when they said that I'm anticipating, oh no, that was in the Karen Reed case. I'm anticipating an appeal with whatever. BK could walk, I hope, from lack of evidence. The court has to protect BK. Daybell's judge is trying the case. You wait and see. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you guys. Who do you think is going to be trying the case? Because this is what I wanted to show you guys, which is, ta-da! I wanted to know about your guys' thoughts on Idaho's Chief Justice. Yeah.
A newly filed criminal. Look forward to hearing his remarks.
I want to speed it up, don't worry.
The floor is all yours, Chief Justice.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President Pro Tem, distinguished members of the Idaho Senate, my colleagues on the Idaho Supreme Court of Appeals, and fellow Idahoans. It is good to be here. I'm honored to stand before you for a fourth time as Chief Justice. And really, I don't stand here alone. Also standing here are our 159 trial and appellate judges, including newly appointed Justice Cynthia K.C. Meyer, whom I hope you all get a chance to meet. Welcome, Justice Meyer. I also represent, as the face of the judiciary, our hundreds of court clerks, our various court administrators, law clerks, court reporters, court assistance officers, and all the many others who help us accomplish the important work of Idaho's judicial branch of government. And I also stand here on the foundation built by those who came before us, including our recently retired Justice John Stegner. I was honored to work closely with Justice.
Do you guys see his earpiece? Is that an earpiece because he can't hear, or does he like legit have an earpiece
for his
to
years on
like
the Supreme
listen to somebody?
Court, and I wish him the best in the next stage of his career. A couple of months ago, I spent an
I'm trying to get it like
evening in Twin
paused.
Falls, sharing with an audience why I do what I do. These were everyday folks out on a Monday evening on a college campus eager to learn. This represented the kind of opportunity I always enjoy as a judge, to help people see how Idaho's judges advance our grand civics experiment as part of Idaho's state government. But there's a gap in the public's understanding, as I suspect you'd tell me of a gap in the public understanding of the legislative branch and the executive. People are aware of courts, but they don't necessarily think of what courts mean. And they certainly don't think of what would happen without us. What is our judicial branch? It is fairly simple, really. Courts provide a fair and peaceful way to resolve disputes impartially and under an equal rule of law.
Remember I was telling you guys take government class, and some people were like, we didn't even have, what are you talking about? This is exactly what this is what he's saying right now.
The law comes from the people in the form of the state and the federal constitution. It comes from those of you in this room in the form of the laws that you write, as well as local ordinances and regulations. Judges apply this wide array of laws to family matters like adoptions and divorces, to business disputes and property disagreements, to cases for personal injury as well as criminal proceedings. We resolve these cases based on this body of law, together with the facts developed through trial or the discovery process. That last part is essential to the work we perform. John Adams said that the very definition of a republic is an empire of laws and not of men. Our branch is the embodiment of the American ideal that everyone answers to the law and answers equally. The rule of law is a fundamental cornerstone without which our society would flounder. There are several ways to describe the rule of law. I've heard it said that the reason we will stop at a red light late in the evening with no one else around is because of the rule of law. And why do we stop? Because the rule of law is so entrenched in us that most of us don't even give it a second thought. The rule of law doesn't mean that the police are in charge. It means we all answer to the same laws.
Boom!
The rule of law is visible when we...
I'm telling you, I want him on this case. It's about law. If he sounds like a constitutionalist. He sounds like, hey, I don't give a fuck who you are. It's like, did you just hear what he said? Police, no, it's not what this is about. We don't answer the police, we answer the law. It's a pretty powerful statement right there. I'm liking everything that I'm hearing. Your guys' thoughts on it?
Pay our taxes on time, or when divorced parents throughout this state shuttle their children across town to fulfill custody arrangements. The people who follow judges' orders in these cases may not agree with them, but they follow those orders anyway because they respect the laws and the courts that enforce them. As Dwight D. Eisenhower said, quote, "The rule of law does more than ensure freedom from high-handed action by rulers. It ensures justice between man and man, however humble the one and however powerful the other," close quote. Really, the rule of law is the glue that keeps us all functioning as one and helps us navigate life with our neighbors. In the judicial branch, our patriotic purpose in coming to work each day is to build on the centuries of solid evidence that an independent court system is best equipped to impartially decide questions of law and then equally apply the law without sale, denial, delay, or prejudice, to quote Article 1, Section 18 of Idaho's Constitution. We've seen elsewhere in the world what happens if the rule of law is subverted. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Felix Frankfurter once wrote that, quote, "There can be no free society without law administered through an independent judiciary. If one man can be allowed to determine for himself what is law, every man can."
Yes.
That means first chaos.
Fuck yeah.
And then tyranny, close quote. Each year that I come here, it is to partner with you to uphold and sustain this rule of law. Truly, the fates of our public duties are tied together. If the rule of law falters in our courts, it also falters in this state house.
Yes.
But nothing is simple these days, is it? The people whom we serve and the society in which we operate have become more fractured. People have forgotten the nature of the broad social contract that allowed us to form this state and this nation. The issues that become high-profile wedges in our society have successfully distracted us from many things we agree on. My hope then is to focus today on our joint obligation to maintain our rule of law. It is an eventful time to work in the judiciary for many reasons. Just the sheer volume of the work we do can be a challenge to convey. We've been frank with you in recent years about our case filing trends. Both here and nationally, the overall trend is a small decline in civil cases. But we still handle more than 140,000 new court cases every year across one of the most geographically spread out states in the Union. Those cases are often more complex and they are drawing more attention. Look, for example, at the national followings of some of our recent criminal proceedings.
Woo!
Even everyday cases require more focus than before. In Idaho, we maintain audio recordings of all court hearings as part of the official court record,
Yeah.
the record my colleagues and I rely on when reviewing a case on appeal.
Yes.
That audio is kept in a dedicated system devoted to this purpose. In 2023, that system received nearly 62,000 hours of court audio. That's nearly a 10% increase from the same time period just 4 years before. While Idaho has certainly gained judges in this time, we are also seeing more court filings involving arguments that require more courtroom time to resolve. Our courts perform this work against a backdrop of increased agitation towards government institutions. I spoke to you at length last year about the security threats our judges and court staff face. That situation has not improved. Our courts in 2023 handled 60,000 newly filed criminal cases.
Oh, thank you.
23,000 cases involving family law, 14,000 probate cases, 5,000 juvenile cases, plus those carried over from previous years. Many of these cases resolve quickly without fanfare. Some become incredibly contentious. Underlying many of these cases are issues of mental health, substance abuse, homelessness, and neglect.
Yep.
All it takes is one person making a bad choice in one of these situations for the unthinkable to occur.
Yep.
Thank goodness we are not among states like Maryland or Wisconsin, where judges or their family members were murdered in recent years, or Nevada, where a judge was violently attacked in the courtroom just this month.
Jeez.
But I still fear we're not far from that point. But even so, we carry on undaunted. Enter one of our courts, and you'll find a devoted workforce, accomplishing feats that I personally find incredible. Our judges must pivot from case to case and issue to issue while remaining fully present in each. Our clerks not only keep the whole system moving, they are our public face, helping users of the court system, often managing interactions colored by those personal crises I just described.
He has personal pride. He respects people. He's talked to so much about his staff, their staff, that without the clerks, you're only as good and as strong as the people around you. And that's what he's talking about. He's showing respect to, he's not talking down to, oh, you're just a clerk or some shit like that. I think that's really important when you're valued and appreciated.
Supporting these groups behind the scenes is another invaluable team. Here in Boise and across each of our judicial districts, judicial branch employees offer technological, financial, and other administrative support to all of our individual courts. Their work isn't always easy to see, but it would be obvious if they were missing. I'm endlessly grateful for their own contributions to maintaining our rule of law. By constitution and statute, counties shoulder much of the burden of maintaining.
I believe that this is who is going to be overseeing the Idaho 4 case. This is just my guess. This is who I think should.
Local courts. This constitutional partnership, done for budget savings in 1889, is somewhat unique among courts nationwide. We take it seriously. For example, we have relaunched a committee to provide elected clerks with more of a voice on court technology. As we work to better secure our digital systems, we are shaping our approach around the counties, acknowledging their unique processes and needs. The bulk of our state-employed IT support is centralized in Boise, while the counties themselves make their own arrangements for local IT. The county's needs go beyond just the court system, of course.
Yeah, he is.
But starting in the last fiscal year with your help, we placed an additional court-focused field technician in each judicial district to deploy new technology, solve technical issues, and train both county and state employees who provide work for the courts. Feedback to this program across the board has been encouragingly positive, and we are working to expand it. It's hard for a single tech to be both in Benoit and Boundary counties at the same time. While we also now offer a jury management system for counties. Again, managing jurors, summoning them, screening them, providing the information necessary for their work largely happens at the county level. But through offering this state-funded system, we can provide jurors in any county that signs up with flexible, easy-to-use tools and timely information as they fulfill their own obligation to the rule of law, jury service.
Wow.
We
So
partner
wait,
in
wait,
other
wait. Hold
contexts,
on.
for example, to provide state agencies and even this legislature with data needed to perform other work. Some of that data can be sent
They have jury classes. Is that what I heard?
to counties at the same time. Each judicial district to deploy new technology, solve technical issues, and train both county and state employees who provide work for the courts. Feedback to this program across the board has been encouragingly positive, and we are working to expand it. It's hard for a single tech to be both in Benoit and Boundary counties at the same time. While we also now offer a jury management system for counties. Again, managing jurors, summoning them, screening them, providing the information necessary for their work largely happens at the county level. But through offering this state-funded system, we can provide jurors in any county that signs up with flexible, easy-to-use tools and timely information as they fulfill their own obligation to the rule of law, jury service. We partner in other contexts, for example, to provide state agencies and even this legislature with data.
You guys can go and check them out. There you go. Yeah, so I don't know. Who do you guys think? If you don't know about it, you guys can look. I posted on my community page. I wanted to keep this right around an hour and a half, and it went way too long. It's 2 hours. I gotta go. It's 11:35. It's way too late. But I do want to catch the end of the debate on here. Let's see what these people are doing. Is it still on or is it over? Is it over? Is the debate over? Debate me. Let's see what they were wearing. The debate. The great debate. Here. Let's see. First question. Who's... Oh, here we go.
And the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children.
Woo!
My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses.
Woo!
My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan.
Who gives a fuck?
Sales tax, which would be a 20%
We are in more
tax
debt. Who cares?
on
Keep
everyday
building
goods
it.
that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas.
God, I felt like me debating Jen was way better than this shit. Oh, God. You guys wait. Her answer really went off course. I don't even know what the answer. I don't even know what the question was. All I know is, woo, give me money. Woo, give me money. You guys, I'll never talk politics. How about this? Vote local. Know your judges. I want to know who's trying to get me on some bullshit. I want to know about my judges. No. Oh, God. All right, you guys rock. I haven't done thank you notes in a while. So I thought maybe doing some thank you notes here to round it out. Just a couple thank you notes. Oh, she gonna sing? Oh, no. Let's see. Thank you notes. Let's see here. Dear Ashley Banfield, Christy Gonsalves was not talking about the electric chair, but don't worry. I still love you. Love, Lana. Dear Bryan Etten, I have no idea how you do it, sir. God love you. Love, Lana. Dear Judge, thank you so much for being the alpha that we all needed. Love, Lana. P.S. Hopefully those Pi Phi, Alpha Phi, Phi Phi sit and spin for you, Daddy. Love, Lana. Dear Latah County Clerk of Courts, I am so sorry that you do not get to fulfill your dreams. But then again, who wants to work 100 hours a day? Love, Lana. Dear Chief Fry, you are the reason that this is being moved. Love, Christy Gonsalves. Dear Backseat Bill, I cannot believe that you fucking blew it again. We're not taking tit for tat anymore. You better just tit me. Love, Christy. Dear Backseat Bill, do you remember that time in the back of your caddy when you were tit for tatting me? Don't worry, I didn't tattletale on you. Love, Christy. Dear Shannon Gray, your hair needs a cut. Love, Lana. Dear Shannon Gray, can you please explain to your clients that Bryan Kohberger has rights? And it is not a privilege to wear a tie. It is a right. Dear Chief Fry, I can't help but know that you blew it, Chief Fry. You just damn blew it. And if Lanier doesn't get it together either, you're just going to have to trust us. Tit for tat. Just going to have to trust us tit for tat. Love, Christy. Dear Judge, on behalf of the Truth and Transparency membership, subscribership, and nakedship, please send me a nakedgram. Love, TNT. Dear Aunt Taylor, you rock that shit, bitch! Love, Lana. All right, guys, see you on the flip side. Be safe. Out. Your thank you notes from the one and only TNT. Thank you, moderators. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for everybody that became a new member. Thank you to Kay Miller. 40 fucking memberships she gave away tonight. I'm just going to have to run around naked. Jackie. Deborah. Fuck yeah, Deborah. You have determination, Deborah. Dear Lana, I'm going to take that bell and shove it up your ass. Love, Christy. I understand, Christy. You can. Deborah! New membership, Pamela Anderson. All right, guys, meet me in General Pop. Dear General Population, please leave Bryan Kohberger alone while he is wearing his ties, and nobody better be doing tit for tat with Bryan Kohberger. Love, Lana. Good night.